Everyone has their own story. Hi, my name is Vernis, and I'd like to share my story. My discovery of self love was complex. I would say not until after my teen years was when I discovered that self love even exists. I never knew or understood the very existence of self love before this. It's funny because I grew up in an atmosphere where self love was not made easy. In fact, being in my family, I would say that it was harder because it's almost like putting down each other and throwing negative words back and forth to each other was really a normal thing. So I observed how others mistreat themselves and start seeing it as a normal thing. I never saw my worth. I never understood what self worth was before. I never looked at life as something valuable, and I just never loved myself. So I started attempting suicide at the age of 5. It's an early age, and I was always wanting to jump off the building, and I was never told that it was wrong. Instead, as a child, I was always told that I was just being dramatic. But now that I look back at what I have been trying to do as a child, it is just so sad. It makes me feel so sad because no child deserves to even have the thought of ending their life. I was young, I was a child, but I really believe that as much as I wasn't able to fully comprehend my situation back then, I was constantly looking for an escape route because I never liked the environment that I was growing up in. In school, I also faced racial discrimination because I am Chinese, but you know, I don't look Chinese and I look brown. So it was very pressuring and tough, I must say, because I have been called names and I have been excluded out of school activities because of my skin color. 6 years of primary school was really painful because I was alone the whole time, no friends. I always hear how people make negative comments about me. Teachers were calling me names, and like one of my teacher calls me blackface girl, which is not nice at all. Or she was calling me in Mandarin, by the way, so she called me Hey Nian Po. So with all those comments about me, all those experiences, it made me feel like I was not right. Like being in this body is just sinful. That was what I felt back then. But then it was not until I grew up to understand that racist people exist and being racist is not right. My skin color was never a problem. It was them who were the problem because they are racist. That's all, period. Then in high school, I was bullied for being overweight because I was in the school cheerleading team and everyone didn't thought that I should be there because I was just big for my age. And you have to understand that that period was pretty much the most important period of my life because so many changes happen in your body when you're a teenager. My body was always my focus at that point, but not for the right things. It became the focus because I was constantly thinking, talking, and complaining about how ugly I was and how I should have lost some weight because society's beauty standard is that white, fair skin, and skinny is pretty. I was constantly comparing myself to other people, not to mention things that people were telling me were just adding on to the whole insecurity thing. And I would say that self-love is really a journey. You have to constantly love yourself, grow to learn and love yourself. I think having a society that speaks out to raise awareness on how people should appreciate themselves, love themselves, and see the worth in themselves is what really helped me. It changed my mindset. Mindset is so important. And after my teenage years, I wasn't really directly connected to anyone who was positive that made me understand this, to make me understand the existence of self-love. But it was mostly people on the internet. Also, my aunt played an important role as she was constantly reminding me to watch myself as I speak about myself. And I think this is very important because you have control over your mind. And at the end of the day, it is you who allow what you accept. It is very important to know what you're accepting into your mind as other people speak into your life. You have to believe that you have control, because you do. And you don't have to believe everything that people say. I think pushing away negative comments, rejecting them and denying them is the right thing to do. You know, that's how you protect yourself. Then it's also so important to speak to yourself kindly when you're on your own, or when you're speaking about yourself to other people. It is vital that you speak positively about yourself. I would say that self-love is also a practice, because you have to sometimes force yourself to put it into practice until you get it. Because for me, because of the whole racial discrimination thing and bullying due to my weight, I was not okay seeing myself in the mirror. Because at that point, all I saw was ugly, worthless, you name it. When I started putting self-love into practice, I had to push myself to look into the mirror, even though I didn't want to, until I made myself understand that what I was seeing was completely a fine person. Like, there was no problem with me. I think the other important thing is that you really should just distance yourself from people who are not adding value into your life. People who are constantly belittling you and constantly negative towards you. Maybe just distance yourself from them. Instead, surround yourself with people who uplift you. And those are the things that help me understand self-love better. But as I've said, self-love is a journey. It is something that you put into practice, and it is a choice.